Hey, it's Lisa Ryan, and I have not done one of these live broadcasts for a long time. So I figured, you know what? It's April, it's a special month, and it was time to come back to it. So, why is April special? Well, number one, we were still dealing with fake spring here in Cleveland, but spring could be on the way, but it's also birthday month. And it's the release of my brand new book, thank you very much, which is Gratitude Strategies to Create a Workplace Culture That Rocks. So, as I was thinking about just getting the word out about gratitude, particularly since we've been in such just having a difficult time the last 2 years, and really finding the good in situations, because gratitude is something that it's good for us personally, but it's also good for us professionally. So, why is gratitude so important? Because really, when you can find the good, and again, we've had a really trying last couple of years, but without the gratitude practice that I've had since 2009, I don't know how well I would have gotten through all this. So, if you don't have any type of regular gratitude practice, maybe that's what comes out of our time together. That you just think about the fact of, I really need to start doing something, writing something down, keeping track of the good things, and really start where you're at. Because when you find one thing, and maybe you're going through a really difficult time right now, but if you can find one thing to be grateful for, chances are good you can find the next, and you can find the next. So if you're thinking about it, okay, well, Lisa, it's Monday, for goodness sake. What is good about Monday? Well, it's the start of a brand new week. So just start there. There are a couple different gratitude practices that I talk about. I actually start in the book setting that foundation of gratitude, because that's really where it starts. Most of the book is really formatted around strategies to bring to the workplace, but it really has to start with you first. It starts with us, which is why it's so important that when you can find the good for your own life, you have better relationships in your personal life, you have less stress, you sleep better, all of these things happen, and then you're much more able to take that positive person into the workplace. So, what are some practices that you can do about gratitude? The gratitude journal. I've been keeping a journal again since 2009. Maybe you've done some kind of gratitude practice, but then you got away from it. Well, the good news is you can forgive yourself and get back to doing it again. But the nice thing about the morning journal is that you can be grateful in advance. For example, I knew I was going to be filming today and kind of like getting getting ready for that. But in my gratitude journal, I was like, I'm so glad that I rocked the videos that I'm doing today. So, fingers crossed, this is live, no mistakes. But we can start the day with more of a positive outlook. Because think about it, you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, today's going to be terrible. How's your day going to be? Versus that you set that positive expectation that things are going to go well. And then the evening journal at night, before you turn off the lights, before you go to bed, look back on the day. Think of 3 good things that happened during the day. Now, I do have to say that one for me anyway is a little bit more difficult, particularly if you've had a difficult day of looking back and finding the good. But the really super cool thing about that is once you look for it, you can always find something to be grateful for. And then another practice that I share in the book called the ABCs of gratitude. And that is a drug-free way to fall asleep. So if you want some really good tips that way, basically, I'll let you in on a little secret. You're going to pick a random letter in the alphabet, start there, and start to think in alphabetical order of all the things that you're grateful for. There's going to be some nights that you're going to go through the alphabet, twice. But most of the time it's 5 or 6 letters, and you will be more than fast asleep, and you'll be fast asleep with positive thoughts going into your mind. So good morning, James. I'm glad that you're joining me today. It is good, and with CSP greetings to you too. So thanks for tuning in. And we think about, who can really benefit from gratitude? Well, besides everybody, you. Because again, it's sometimes hard to find the good, but when we can find it in our own lives, it's much easier to bring it to the workplace. And if you're a busy leader, sometimes you're like, you know what, my people just have to understand I'm having a day. I don't have time to stay and chat with them. I don't have time for all this stuff. I got work to do. And yet, if you just take a moment and focus on the good that your people are doing, catching them in the act of doing things well. It could be as simple as walking through the office, walking through the plant, walking through whatever facility you're working in, and simply making eye contact and greeting people. Hey, how you doing today? And if that person who's usually chipper is like, okay, you can either ignore that person, go to the office and say, well, I don't have time to deal with whatever they're dealing with, or stop and just say, hey, you're not yourself today. What's going on? Anything I can do to support you? It's these little connections that make such a huge difference in the workplace. So how do you get started? Focus today. Think about catching your employees, catching your team members in the act of doing things well and being specific about it. Instead of just saying, hey, thanks, great job, they're going to be like, well, what's so great about it? What are you thanking me for? So instead, be specific. Jane, I saw you on the phone with that customer, and I know that customer was just giving you a really rough time. And I have to let you know that you have a way with really kind of, talking customers off the ledge and getting them, serving them so that you both feel good at the end of the phone call. And I just want to let you know that I appreciate the efforts that you're doing. And now Jane knows that you're paying attention to her, and she knows that you're doing it specifically. Because one of the questions that I get asked a lot in my programs are, well, can't you thank people too much? I mean, what happens if you thank them too much? Aren't they going to get all cocky and everything and think that they don't have to work anymore? Actually, the opposite is true. If you are sincere when you are thanking people, if you are being specific about what you're thanking them about, then it changes that whole conversation and it builds that connection. So maybe you start with an apology approach and just let your employees know, you know what, I have not been letting you know how much I appreciate you, and I'm going to make a bigger effort to do that. Because if you go to an employee that you haven't thanked for a while and you're like, hey, thanks, great job, and they're like, ooh, what's okay? What does she want? She has never thanked me before. So instead, when you use something like the apology approach, you're letting them know that it's something on you, that you are the one that wants to make the difference, that you are the one that is focusing. I remember a couple of years ago, I had one of the participants in my program come up and said, Lisa, when I do something wrong, I get recognized 100% of the time. And yet when I do something well, it's rare that I get noticed. So when you have strategies that you can find the good for yourself, again, we started with that. That's really the foundation. And that's how the book begins, of setting that foundation, giving you those practices with the gratitude journal, the wins journal, which is the evening journal. And then of course the ABCs of gratitude with the instructions on how to do all that. But then after we look at it personally, we're going to figure out how to take that into the workplace. And you're going to see there are case studies and stories and business leaders that are doing things well. So I'm going to be here. My goal is to be here every day in April. So watch for these episodes, tune in. I'd love if you get the book on Amazon, go and get that. It's available Kindle and trade paperback today. Let me know that you got it. Send me an email, send me a shout out on social media. Goodness knows I'm all over the place there. Let me know that you got it, because I am planning some specials for the people who are investing in the book, investing in your gratitude, and want to be a whole part of this thank you very much movement. So again, you can find the book on Amazon. I'm Lisa Ryan, and look for these videos every day for the month of April. Again, celebrating birthday month and the release of my new book. It's book number 11. I'm really proud of it. And you know what? I know that you're going to enjoy it too. So until next time, have a wonderful day, and thank you very much for tuning in.